Stock markets around the world are falling by as much as 12%. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway is sitting on a record level of cash, and we see the volatility index spike above 40. Is this now time to be fearful in the stock market, or is this a buying opportunity? All right, welcome back. It may seem like a nightmare if you guys are just now tuning in, looking at the stock market, but look at the Nikkei last night. The Nikkei down 12.4%. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, if you notice, right up here from all-time highs down to the low, the Nikkei has dropped 26% in a matter of simply a month or so. And again, this is how everything unwinds. It's fast, it's furious. When nobody thinks the market can go down, these are the type of actions that we start to see show up. We look at the volatility index and look at this right now in pre-market. We can see the VIX has been as high as 53. And if we zoom this out, the last time the VIX was at these levels, if you notice, when was it? Back in 2020 during the pandemic. Now, before that, we've seen another spike up around that area, and that was going all the way back to 2018. That was short-lived. And the question we have to ask ourselves, is this volatility spike going to be short-lived, or is there more destruction coming to the stock market? For instance, we take a look at Apple. Apple in pre-market is down 6.8%. We take a look at NVIDIA, the king of AI, and NVIDIA in pre-market is down 12.84%. Now, even as I'm looking at the charts right here, right now in pre-market, look what the S&P is doing. The S&P 500 is making new session lows. And what do we see? That we've already had a range of 148 points, and that's even before the stock market has opened today. Now, one thing we want to be mindful of is I would not be the slightest bit surprised if we see the Fed come out with an emergency rate cut. Now, let me know, does this look like a soft landing to you guys? Is this exactly what we've been looking for? Now, we look at this article, Berkshire Hathaway operating profits rise 15%, cash level at record 2.77 billion. Now, let's think about this, right? People can give opinions on something, but when somebody is putting their money where their mouth is, and Warren Buffett being the famed investor that he is, all right, he's telling you if he's sitting on all that cash, that is a clear sign that he believes the overall stock market is extremely overvalued. Otherwise, he would be employing his cash into the markets. Now, one thing we want to come over and take a look at the dollar yen falling off a cliff, and the BOJ has wanted to get some strength in the yen. You might say strength. We see this going down. We got to think about this in currency perspectives, right? The dollar versus the yen. So when this is going up, this is telling us the dollar is getting stronger versus the yen. When the chart is going to the downside, that's telling us the yen is getting stronger than the dollar. And when this started to fall off a cliff, that's when we saw the Nikkei falling off a cliff. When this started accelerating to the downside, that's when our stock market started to have problems as well. And we look at gold this morning. You can't even find a safe haven in gold. Gold trying to make it back up towards all-time highs, bam, getting rejected on the way back down. And this is what happens. Once the selling starts, everything gets taken out. We take a look at Bitcoin this morning. Bitcoin absolutely getting destroyed. It was down $7,000 at one point. Now the question is Bitcoin on its way down towards about 42,000 or so, 42, 43,000, where we have this high volume area on the composite profile. Next, we take a look at Tesla real quick, and in pre-market, Tesla's trading all the way down here at 188.93. Now, that essentially is undoing all that recent movement that we've seen in the stock market. We look at the diamonds. Diamonds in the pre-market is trading right down here where you see this horizontal dotted line going across the chart. We're almost giving up the entire last portion of the leg. We're below the 78.6, and I've already warned you guys, if we breach below that, watch out. We're probably coming to 100% Fibonacci retracement level. We look at the Russell 2000, the small caps all the way down here, filled all these gaps on the way up. We had that double top. I warned you guys about this candle just a few days back. Now, did I think we were going to drop as fast as we did? No, this is very, very fast. But again, that's how the selling always happens. It starts a little bit, then everybody panics and freaks out. Then everybody just wants out at any and all prices. We come over, we take a look at the Qs. Qs in pre-market are trading all the way down here. And look, this fills all the gaps that we had on the way up. Look at the MACD indicator, and we've been talking about this. It looks extremely weak. We look on the 4-hour chart, MACD indicator potentially maybe has a little bit of divergence setting up. We'll have to see how the market opens up. That consolidation that we saw on Friday, we're busted way below that. Look at where we're trading all the way down here. So this ends up being a bear flag pattern, and the market just continues to grind to the downside. Now we look at this on the 30-minute chart. What are we expecting? Well, we're nowhere near this gap over here. And we look at the volume profile levels out here from Friday, we're not even in the ballpark of those levels. And let me know in the comment section down below, do you guys plan on buying the stock market today, or are you trying to exit all your positions? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I want to make everybody aware, Apex 7 a massive 80% sale off all their valuation accounts, pass in as little as 1 day, and you can also get a $150K account for only $40. You get a $250K account for only $40, and you get a $300K account for only $40. So if you want to take advantage of this offer, use the link in the description box down below and use the promo code Mike at checkout. Now, we did see on Friday the MACD indicator is starting to cross. However, now that we're way down here, I'm assuming when the market opens, this is going to be another big dip to the downside. Now, with the volume profile levels, we have value area low being at 445.99. The point of control is 446.44. Value area high is going to be 449.21. Now, do I think we could come back and test these levels? It's possible. However, I don't know that I want to go ahead and try to go for that. I do think we're going to see a lot of yapping out there today in terms of, either Fed officials unexpectedly or even Jay Powell, and maybe they even come in and try to cut interest rates unexpectedly in between meetings. We look at the futures markets, we see it says we had a range of 1,039 points. However, that is not truly accurate. If we actually look from the closing price on Friday, down here towards the lows, we've actually had roughly a 1,150 point move, and that's in Asia. That's before the stock market has even opened on Monday morning. Now, when we look at this, you can see we've had quite the sell-off, and the question we have to ask ourselves, all right, is this enough? Look at the profile, all right? I want you guys to pay attention to the volume profile. Notice how jagged it is, all right? This is not normal. This just showed me there was very low liquidity in the market when I see these spikes coming out of the volume profile in the way we are. Now notice we did have a point of control down here at 17,321. We just barely missed that for the time being. Are we going to come down and try to snag that level today? And notice we had a Sunday night gap lower and the market just continued to melt down. It said, we don't care about that gap. We're not looking to fill it anytime soon. However, I want to warn you guys about this gap. Normally, when we gap down on Sunday, if that gap is not filled by this Thursday, normally it's going to be several weeks before we come back and fill the gap. So if you're a bull in the market, you want to see this gap filled before Thursday this week. Now, on the 4-hour chart again, over the weekend, I warned you guys about this level right here, which was an untested point of control in a high volume area. The market said, yeah, that's cute and all, but we're going to go substantially lower past that area. Now, when we look today, the overnight volume profile levels are going to be very critical this morning. We can see that value area low is all the way down here, exactly where the point of control is. I can't remember the last time I seen the point of control and value area low or high at the same location on the chart. So we'll touch on that here in just a bit. But if you look at this, I want to go ahead and measure the value area this morning. From value area high to value area low, that is a 656 point value area. That is absolutely insane in the markets. Now we come over and look at the SPY. We had that little hammerish candle on Friday. The market said, yeah, that's cute and all, but let's go ahead and gap substantially lower. Now the SPY is actually holding up a little bit better than the NASDAQ. If you look down to the current levels, the SPY is only down about 8.84%. I think I seen 9% earlier when we were pushing through the lows. And we got to ask ourselves, right? Now that we're within this high volume area of the composite profile, is that enough? Will there be support down here? And will we see buy-in start to push the market back up higher? This is going to be 2 days where we're going to have back-to-back gaps. However, that doesn't mean the gap has to come back and get filled today. If it does, that would be insane. We look at the MACD indicator on the 4-hour chart. No signs of divergence even on Friday. And we had that inside candle where we closed out the session. Now with the inside day, now with the inside candle, we expect a breakout or breakdown. What we can see, we most certainly got the breakdown from that level. On the 1-hour chart, you can see we started to try to firm up towards the end of the day, but then the market said, yeah, that's cute and all, but we are going substantially lower. Looking out here at the 30-minute chart, you can see we had that consolidation on Friday, and it led nothing more to a big gap lower. Now, I do want you guys to focus on something. If and when we start to get a little bit of buying in the market, yes, I do think we're going to come back and test the lows from Friday. Now, I'm not saying we're going to do it today. We could. It depends on, will the Fed come out and make an unexpected statement trying to bolster the stock market? Again, the Fed is going to be panicking. Jay Powell probably had a very sleepless night last night. When we look at the volume profile levels, value area low will be 529.89. The point of control is going to be 531.53. value area high is going to be 532.69. Now, I'm not saying we're going to make it up there today. I just want to make you guys aware of that level. And I was talking about this over the weekend. A flush lower, they'll only come and buy it back up, meaning run everybody's stops. However, this is a little bit further than what I talked about in Sunday's video. We come over and look at the S&P futures markets. Notice where we came to all the way down, tested that untested point of control. We actually took out 2 point of controls back to back on the weekly charts. Now look how straight down that leg has been. That has been one heck of a move on the way down. And the question is a buying opportunity right around the corner, even if it's for just a bounce? Now, one of the areas I would want to look for a bounce towards would be where we had this previous high volume area, somewhere around 52.73. Now, that's really not much when you think about it, because if you look at the range, right, 52.73 is only right up in here. That's not even all the way back up here towards the gap that we had last night on a Sunday. And just like I talked about with the NASDAQ, if this gap does not fill by Thursday, watch out. It's probably going to be several weeks before we come back and fill Sunday's gap. When you look though, this profile looks a lot better than what we saw in the NASDAQ because the ES is a much thicker market, meaning more liquidity in the market. It shows we've had a 160 point range, but that's not true because that's not taken into the fact the amount that we had in the gap. So if we look from this high candle, the high of this candle here to the gap, we could actually tack on a few more points. We go ahead, I'm going to measure that out real quick. That's about another 11 points. So that means in Asia and pre-market, we've had a 170 point range for the S&P 500. That is absolutely insane. And if you look last night, we were able to take out 3 other untested point of controls. And that's why I say it's always important to mark them off on your chart. If you want to see where they come from, you can see we have to scroll this way on back. The first one came from June 2nd. And then the other 2 were back in May. Now we do have other untested point of controls below us. However, at some point we will get a bounce in the market. I'm not saying it's going to be today. That's why it's going to be critical. Where are we trading in relations to the overnight volume profile levels? Now, for instance, if this was value area low from the overnight, then guess what? If we've already dipped below it, if we're above it, I'd want to look for buying opportunities. Now, I'm not saying buy and hold for several days. I'm saying buying opportunities intraday. If we break back down below it, watch out. We're probably going to continue to sell lower. And if we actually look from a percentage standpoint and we look at where the markets are at, notice we are already down almost 5% on the NASDAQ. The S&P is down 3.4%. The Russell 2000 down 4.32%. So everybody that told you to buy small caps, over the past couple of weeks, well, they're eating a little bit of crow now. When the markets go into a recession, small caps typically suffer the worst, and this time is going to be no different. Something that must seriously be considered for today, and that is the fact of, will we be seeing the circuit breakers hit? You can see the CME has a 7% price limit in which they will halt trading for a bit. Then they'll reopen it. Then if we hit 13%, they'll halt it again. The market closes for the remainder of the day. Now, if you look at the watch list across the board, the NASDAQ is getting very close. I saw 6 point something percent. And I don't know if that is taken into consideration the actual gap out there. But one thing you want to focus on to know if you're in a lock limit, look right over here at the bid versus the ask, right? If you see one of these numbers get crazy out of control and the other one is at 0, that is how you know that the instrument is officially going to be lock limited. The NASDAQ is holding on for dear life, trying not to hit those lock limits. We come over and look at the VIX hitting 65 out here on the session. Let's take a look at the economic calendar for this morning at 9:45. We have final services PMI. We have ISM services PMI. Is this going to go ahead and push us over the brink? Or is this what the market needs in order to get a lift out here this morning? We come over, we take a look at the overnight volume profile levels. This is absolutely insane. Value area low is down here at 17,351.00. The point of control is at the same exact location. And we have value area high up here at 17,931.00. Now, I'm going to tell you, be very, very cautious. One, we have a point of control down below us, which probably will come down and get tested. But let's not forget the lock limit is sitting right down below this area. So again, I'm not looking to be a seller of the breakdown. Now, could we hit the lock limit, the market pause, and then we gap even lower? Yes, but I suspect, if not already, the brokers are going to be raising their margin limits. So be on the lookout for that this morning as well. We come over and we look at the S&P 500 futures markets. What do we see? Value area low is up here at 5216.50. The point of control is at 5298.50. Value area high is at 5318.50. Now, overnight, we've had over a 226 point range already. And as long as we're below value area low, then you know what? The path to least resistance is lower. If the market's going to go higher, then let's see if we can break that level. If we do, then I want to start to focus on the minus development area, anywhere from 52.62 up to about 52.74 as a target number one, then point of control value area high. However, given the extent of the selling this morning, we could be going substantially lower. Are we going to be coming all the way back down towards the swing point over here, coming back down towards the 5,000 price point, or even potentially lower? Now, if you guys would like to see if Apex has stopped paying its traders, watch this video right here.